Since the beginning of time when it came to Call of Duty Zombies, wonder weapons have been the most integral part of any game within the entire franchise. Starting from World at War when it came to the ray gun to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 with the return of the ice staff, which is really interesting. But if there's one thing that is always important when it comes to wonder weapons, it's just how much damage they output and how viable they are. And there's definitely a lot of weapons or wonder weapons that go under the radar after a certain point, either because they're completely irrelevant or because there are other wonder weapons that are just way easier to achieve, especially within maps where you can choose between 4 wonder weapons and one just completely outweighs the other. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. I think the most iconic is the ice staff from Origins, or even the lightning bow in Der Eisendrache, which a lot of people still get when they go back and play that map. And in this video, I was going to rank top 5 most underrated weapons in my opinion, and this is going in no particular order. This is basically just personal preference and what I've seen online when it comes to popularity, because popularity is a factor in my opinion when it comes to the relevance of a wonder weapon. Like, everyone knows the thunder gun, the jet gun, which even though it was completely trash in transit, I like to say it was still relevant because people were comparing it to, this is what we shouldn't let wonder weapons be. And then you have weapons like the Apothecary Serum where it's like, this is what you want, but maybe just don't make it so broken. But anyways, just to get into things and to not hold you guys up any longer, at the number 5 spot, I have, which is definitely a throwback, the NX1 Disruptor from Extinction, specifically in the map Exodus. Now, for those who have played Exodus, probably know this weapon is extremely important, and for those who have never played Exodus before, or even Extinction, you're probably like, what the hell even is this gun? Well, this gun is actually a schematic, so you have to walk up to these red benches, you have to get the specific blueprint, find 3 boxes around the map, which are pretty easy, and then after you collect 3 parts, you can build it, and then you have the wonder weapon ready to go. That's even how you get the Venom, which was introduced into Mayday. I think it was introduced in Mayday or Nightfall, I can't remember. I'm playing a lot of Extinction right now, and I'm pretty sure it was introduced in Mayday. But the NX1 Disruptor is not only good because of its single shot, the left trigger, or the big shot where you use all 10 of your ammo, the gun recharges, by the way, so it's extremely useful because in Extinction, if you don't know, it's just a constant horde of aliens going after you, and ammo is just such a giant priority. Like, you need to make sure you're hitting all your shots, you have enough money so you can buy more ammo, you're not dying, because some of the aliens later on, especially in Exodus, when you have to deal with the Griffins, do insane amounts of damage. I feel like the NX1 Disruptor is just a weapon that a lot of people have forgotten about or just completely don't know about. I really think falls under the category of an underdog, and in my opinion, I think just makes the wonder weapon a little bit more interesting because not a lot of people are familiar with it and want to know it more. So as I said before, the wonder weapon does recharge its ammo over time, but it does take quite a bit, and in a mode like Extinction, it isn't really the best when it comes to that, because you want to make sure you have your ammo as soon as possible. Usually the pistols are the best, especially when you have the arc attachment when you're starting your games. But even then, when you're going up against the big bosses in Exodus, I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but they do massive damage, and this gun is basically the counter to them once they have their shields down. But I really think that if you haven't played Exodus before, even Extinction, you got to give it a try. It's really interesting, it's a lot of fun. Sorry to interrupt the video, but there is an important message. Right now, I'm currently moving into a new apartment, so things have been pretty stressful recently, and that's why I haven't uploaded close to 3 weeks at this point now, so I definitely do apologize about that. There's a lot in the works right now. I have a lot of projects on the go, and even then, my personal life has just been pretty busy. Once I get moved into my new apartment, uploads are going to begin heading up regularly and within a more normal upload schedule, but I just wanted to apologize for the lack of uploads. And if I haven't really been communicating on my YouTube tab, things have just been absolutely crazy recently, so I do appreciate you guys for your understanding and patience. But anyways, back to the video. Let's get into our number 4 spot, which is going to be the Void Bow from Der Eisendrache. Something I really like about Der Eisendrache is within each of the bows, they're all viable in their own ways, but I think the Void Bow really is the underdog compared to the other 3 because of the one step when you're actually trying to get it, which is locating the symbols after you kill zombies, and it's basically just RNG. Like, you could get this done between round 9, or you could get this done at like round 19. So that big difference really makes the bow go under the radar for a lot of people, because you want to get something as soon as possible. You want to make sure that you're powerful within a relatively quick time, just so you're not struggling, especially when the panzers come around. But once you get the Void Bow, like, this weapon it's just a beast. It does infinite damage, and even when you shoot a charge shot, the floating heads over time will kill zombies, which I think is just super useful. And even using the bow against the panzer, it really just does the damage. Like, it knocks it down. As you can see in my gameplay, I know it's still an early round, so it's not really doing its justice, but even then, it's great. It's doing the work, and it's supporting me for what I'm trying to do and accomplish, which I think is great. But as I said, it is an underdog because getting the wolf bow is just a whole lot faster. Getting the lightning bow, super easy compared to all the rest. And then even the fire bow, which I know is a little bit, I know the fire bow is definitely the hardest and most difficult, especially because getting the trick shots, if you're unfamiliar, it can literally just take you forever. But comparing everything to the void bow, where especially if you were to do it last, the one step where you have to knife a zombie over the square on the bottom just so you can open it, can really leave players with a hard time. Really was underrated, especially when Rise and Draw came out, because everyone was rocking the lightning bow, especially when it wasn't patched. If you didn't know, the lightning bow did get a patch because it was doing far more damage than it should have with its lightning tornado. But nonetheless, the void bow, it's an underdog, and I love it personally. Even though when I played Rise and Draw, the wolf bow is usually my go-to. That was what I got to around 100 with, so it has a special place in my heart. But nonetheless, the void bow, if you haven't gotten it, I definitely recommend you do it. At our number 3 spot is going to be another throwback, is the VR11 from Call of the Dead in Call of Duty Black Ops 1. And this weapon is really interesting because it has a couple of factors, or a couple of gimmicks that it can do. If you're playing solo and you shoot a zombie with it, it just turns them into a human, which is essentially just a monkey bomb because the zombies are going to be focused on them. But if you're playing co-op and you shoot your co-op player, it'll give him an insta-kill for a certain amount of time, which is really interesting because that's a complete game changer. You have, I think it's like 11 or 12 insta-kills depending on your ammo count, so you essentially can give yourself infinite damage for a certain amount of time and play the supporting role, and your friend can play the offensive role. But at the same time, when it comes to high rounds, you know, it's hard to find another person spend hours and hours with just trying to grind through the rounds and, you know, sit there, because when it comes to zombie high rounds, it's not the most fun thing. Usually people probably have podcasts or music playing because you're essentially just going to be spinning in circles, killing zombies, making sure you're doing enough damage. When it came to back in the day to Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and 2, high rounds were definitely a little bit more different compared to what they were now, because it was more of a puzzle to how am I actually going to kill the zombies, and am I going to be able to do enough damage? Because back then, not every map just had this infinite damage wonder weapon like Black Ops 3 and onward. Because in Black Ops 3, if you get Blast Furnace or Dead Wire, it was pretty much just like game over for the zombies. I could just run around in circles with any weapon of my choice as long as I had Dead Wire, Blast Furnace, and just get to around 100. But I think the VR11, even though it's only in Call of the Dead, is still a really underrated weapon because it is easy to forget about. It's not really viable compared to a lot of other wonder weapons, especially within its own game. But nonetheless, if you are playing co-op, it's absolutely amazing and definitely game breaking if you were to go for high rounds and really just understand how to play your strategies right. At our number 2 spot, which I think is going to surprise some people, is the Wunderwaffe DG-2. And this weapon, it's kind of a roller coaster, and you're going to even see that with the number 1 spot. But before we get ahead of ourselves, the Wunderwaffe has had a kind of roller coaster where it was really good in the introduction of Doris in World at War, and then as games kind of went on and they were reintroducing the Wunderwaffe, such as in Black Ops 3 when we got the Giant, the Wunderwaffe just really hit this downgrade. Like, it wasn't really viable after around 20. It wasn't connecting with a lot of zombies. It just wasn't up to par to what we previously used to have. And I mean, back then, even in Shinonuma, the Wunderwaffe was just completely broken. It was the gun you needed to have to get to high rounds. It was absolutely amazing. Going from game to game, you can see the changes within the damage systems, and the Wunderwaffe was hit pretty hard within the later games. As I said, Black Ops 3, it was a complete downgrade. It was basically unviable, and just getting double pack-a-punch was the way to go. At the number 1 spot, which I think is also going to maybe shock you, for me, it was definitely really interesting to think about, is the ray gun. And I know what some of you might be thinking, where it's like, how is this gun so underrated? It's literally the iconic wonder weapon of all time within zombies. Well, the ray gun has been through if you thought the Wunderwaffe went through a crazy roller coaster, well, the ray gun, every sort of natural disaster while riding a roller coaster, it was just insane. In World at War, it was amazing. Like, this gun was a complete beast. In Black Ops 1, it got nerfed, and I don't think it helped that some maps had PhD and some didn't, because the splash damage was really threatening, especially if you're playing as a solo player. You only have so many revives. In Black Ops 2, no point of using the ray gun, especially, I think the only map that had PhD was Origins, and even then, getting PhD in Origins, you had to use the Wonder Fizz, with good luck if you want to spend your points trying to get it over and over again. Black Ops 3, it was just like, there was no point in getting the ray gun. Like, it was so bad. Even around 15 to 20, I think it already started to make crawlers. It's just terrible. Black Ops 4, I don't think it was as bad. It definitely got a bit of an upgrade compared to Black Ops 3, and then in Cold War, yeah, the gun was completely broken, but they did nerf it. But I feel like it's really hard to compare Cold War and even Black Ops 6 to the older games because of the weapon tier system. The higher rarity your gun is, the more damage it's going to be doing. Plus, if it's a pack-a-punch, it's going to do more damage, obviously. So it's hard to really compare Black Ops 6 ray gun to the older COD iterations. But even then, you don't see a lot of people rocking the ray gun now because every gun is pretty much viable within Black Ops 6. And especially, you might as well just use the main map Wunderwaffe because that is generally the focus. In Terminus, you want to use the Beam Smasher. In Liberty Falls, you want to use the jet gun, and within the Tomb, you want to use the Ice Staff because Ice Staff is just completely broken, and people have been getting to high rounds just so easy with it. You just charge it up, shoot it, and you just stand there and you're laughing. Like, it's crazy. I do want to say some honorable mentions are the Zap guns from Moon. I think these weapons are really good, and I know people have had these issues where it's when you combine them together and you shoot it, there are these phantom shots where it doesn't actually hit the zombies, it kind of phases through them, which is interesting. And then the last honorable mention is going to be Raven the Redwoods with any of the bows, because I feel like people don't really go back to Infinite Warfare. Besides Zombies in Spaceline, they don't test out they don't play the DLCs because no one really cared about them. But in Raven the Redwoods, there were different, as I said, Raven the Redwoods was kind of a stain, was starting to stain Infinite Warfare and be that kind of downfall where it's like, I don't know, I don't think it's vibing with me, which is a shame because I think Raven the Redwoods is a fantastic map and holds up well on its own. But there are obviously cons to every sort of map, and I think in most people's opinions, there's more cons than pros for Rave. But I just want to say thank you guys for watching this video. What do you think are the most underrated weapons within Call of Duty Zombies? I mean, there are so many wonder weapons nowadays spanning across over like a 10-year radius. Pretty crazy to think about, probably like close to 20 years. Definitely excited to see what we have in the future. Right now, I'm pretty like burnt out with Black Ops 6. I didn't really like the Tomb. But let me know your thoughts, and I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day, and catch you later.